I do not own the rights to this music. Hello, and welcome to Sunday School Summary with Brother Ron. Sunday School lesson for Sunday, October 10th, 2021. Our reference material for the Sunday School Summary is based upon the International Sunday School Lesson Series as published by the Sunday School Publishing Board. We are discussing Celebrating God as the title of the fall lesson series, and the series is categorized into 3 units or groups of lessons. In Unit 1, we talked about God's people offer praise, and in Unit 2, we're talking about call to praise God. And in Unit 3, we'll talk about visions of praise. Now, in the Call to Praise God series, we document and explore the Psalms calling God's people to celebrate what God has done. And the Psalms speak of making a joyful noise to praise God, and that was from our lesson from last Sunday on October 3rd. The title of our second lesson in the Unit 2 Fall Lesson series is titled Ball of Confusion, and it comes from Psalm chapter 9, verse 8. And that verse reads as follows: He shall judge the world in righteousness. He shall minister judgment to the people in uprightness. So even though the world seemed confused and righteousness seems to take a back seat to everything, we have faith in God. So therefore, we are confident that He will judge the world in righteousness and with equity. The title of today's lesson is Ball of Confusion. The background to today's lesson is Psalms 9, and Psalms 9 is a psalm that talks about God's justice, God's goodness, and the memory of God in times past to protect us and to guide us through difficult times and protect us from our enemies. There are 3 summary lesson points for today. Praise God for His justice from Psalm chapter 9, verses 1 through 4. Praise God for His righteousness from Psalm chapter 9, verses 5 through 8. And praise God for His memory, Psalms chapter 9, verses 9 through 12. The passages for the lesson today revolve around the key words of faith, praise, justice, refuge, and judge. Now, faith, we talked about, is the complete trust, assurance, belief, or confidence. In our case, we have faith in God and faith in Jesus Christ. Praise means respect or gratitude towards God as an act of worship. We give praise to God. Justice is the process or the result of applying laws to fairly judge and punish crime and criminals. In this case, we will be talking about justice from the perspective of God. God will apply the laws of right and wrong to all of our actions, and we will therefore be judged, which brings us to our another key point today is to evaluate or render a decision on some actions. So our actions will be judged by God, whether they are good or bad. And refuge is a secure area. And for us Christians, we take our refuge in the arms of the Lord, where we are safe and protected from our enemies. Now, praise God for his justice from the first summary point for today, from Psalms chapter 9, verses 1 through 4. And in these passages of Psalms, the writer declares that he will worship and praise or give thanks to God with gladness for his justice, and as a personal expression of faith in the righteousness of God based on the writer's personal experience. The evidence for the praise of God or God's justice is based upon the fact that God turned back or condemned the psalmist's enemies. God caused the psalmist's enemies to stumble and fall. So our praise should reflect our personal testimony of the goodness of God for the saving grace of what he has done in our life, how he provided a safe space and refuge in our times of trouble or oppression. So God will see us through with justice and mercy. Praise God for his righteousness is the second summary point from Psalms chapter 9, verses 5 through 8. And in these passages of Psalm, the writer provides examples or evidence of God's righteousness. The passages document God's righteous actions. He rebuked the heathens, destroyed the wicked, and removed the names of the wicked from the face of the earth forever. The psalmist further proclaims that the Lord reigns forever. Therefore, enemies come and go and rise and fall. But the judgment of God is certain, so that we should not become weary in the Lord when the timing of God's justice and mercy does not line up with our time frame or expectations. God rules the world with righteousness and equity, and therefore we must keep the faith, because all will stand before God and receive their final judgment based on their works, good or bad. If we concentrate and place our faith in God and pleasing him, then we can approach our judgment with praise and thanksgiving, just as the psalmist wrote about in Psalms chapter 9. The final third point is praise God for his memory from Psalm chapter 9, verses 9 through 12. And in these passages, the writer states that God is our shelter when we are oppressed or misunderstood. God hears and remembers, and he never forgets us in our cries for help during our times of troubles or in our storms of life. Our praise of God for his memory should be based upon our faith and trust in God, based upon our own personal testimony of past blessings and his never forsaking us. Therefore, we have a refuge in God, and we have no need to spend our time scheming and plotting for revenge, but we should take it to the Lord in prayer and let go and let God handle the evil and the wicked. So those are the summary lesson points for Sunday, October 10th, 2021. Praise God for his justice from Psalms chapter 9, verses 1 through 4. Praise God for his righteousness from Psalms chapter 9, verses 5 through 8. And praise God for his memory, that he will never leave us or forsake us. And that's from Psalm chapter 9, verses 9 through 12. Thank you for watching. This is Brother Ron with the Sunday School Summary for Sunday, October 10th, 2021. Thank you for watching. Have a blessed week. And we hope to see you next Sunday for another edition of Sunday School Summary with Brother Ron.